In today's video, I am going to show you guys how to achieve this beautiful and delicious Nigerian stew. In a very clean pot, you add your already washed meat. Make sure that you wash your meat very well, and then you start seasoning. I added onions, then I have my thyme, I have my chicken seasoning, I have my curry powder, I have my garlic powder, I have my onion powder. I have just use your favorite seasoning. Okay, I just used some of my favorite seasoning, and then I added salt, and I added blended yellow pepper. If you have the normal Nigerian yellow pepper, that is the normal yellow pepper, red pepper, you can use it, but I am using yellow pepper because I couldn't find red pepper here. So I covered the pot and then I allowed to simmer, and then I started to prepare my tomatoes, my peppers. There is a long pepper, as you can see. Then I have my onions, I have my garlic and ginger. As you can see, they are already prepped, waiting to be washed. And then I also have onions. I used medium onions, just the four of it. If you are a lover of onions, you can add more, but I love onions and that is why I'm using 4. If you want to use more, you can use. There is nothing wrong with it. And then I prepped my peppers. Okay, you have to clean it very well, remove the seeds. Some people blend it with the seed, but I don't like the seeds in my stew, so I usually comot the seeds, then I prep them and get them ready to be blended. And then remember that you are cooking meat, so you have to be checking your meat while you are prepping your tomatoes. So as you can see, the meat has simmered, and then I had to add water. I added water the same level as the meat in the pot, so I covered it and allowed to cook while I blend my tomatoes and my peppers. As you can see, I added red pepper. That was what I was trying to say. If you like, you can still combine the yellow pepper and the red pepper, but I used yellow pepper to cook the meat, and then I am blending my tomatoes with normal red pepper. So you just have to do with what you have. If you have the yellow pepper, fine. If you have the red one, still fine. Then after blending, I transferred it into a pot because I needed it to be cooked, that is to drain the water. And then I blended the rest of the tomatoes. If you have a very big blender, you can blend everything at once, but everything actually depends on the size of your blender. So I allowed it to cook. I also check my meat from time to time. Then I added chicken. Okay, I have all sorts of meat in that pot, both cow and goat meat. I also have chicken, and now this is egg. Okay, I want to cook egg because Nigerians still usually use egg. So as you can see, my tomato, the water has been strained. As you can see, like it looks like tomato paste, like the normal tomato paste that you buy at the store. So that is how you cook your tomato. Okay, just to remove the water and allow the tomato. And then my meat is ready as well. It is time to fry. You add your oil. Some people use red oil, but today I wanted to use groundnut oil. Then I added my onions because I had to chop other onions. Then I added my onions, and then after a while, the onions will fry for a while, and then you add your tomato, like the tomato that you prepped. You start adding them into the onions. Don't forget to add your tomatoes few seconds after you add your onions. It is very important so that your onions don't get burnt before the tomato is added to it. And then you have to stir it. You have to be very careful not to allow the tomatoes to get burnt. So you must be there to stir it for about 20 minutes. Stir it constantly, and then you add your tin tomatoes. Okay, in Nigeria we use 2 tomatoes to cook, so you have to add your tin tomatoes. It brings its own taste in stew. So I added tin tomatoes. I used 2 sachets of tin tomatoes for the quantity of the stew that I prepared. So you have to, it depends on the quantity of the stew you want to prepare. Then after I fried for a while, I started adding my seasoning. I'm adding chicken seasoning, that is the spices. I added nutmeg powder, I added curry, I added garlic powder, I added my stock cube. So I added the water and the meat, that is the stock and the meat that I prepared earlier. So I stirred it for a while. At this point, you have to taste for salt, and also you have to check if you still have to add more pepper. It depends. If you dey chop pepper, then add more pepper, but if you know the chop pepper, then the pepper that we use is enough. Okay, you just have to taste it for salt, for pepper, and to make sure that everything is okay, like pass. Okay, so I added a little more water, and then I stirred it and covered it to cook. And after a while, I added my egg. At this point, I reduced the heat. You have to reduce your heat when you are adding your egg, so that make this stew no dey burn. So I added and covered it to cook for a while, and then my stew is ready. As you can see, it looks so yummy. So yummy. This is typical Nigerian stew. The heat is still reduced. And then if you like, you can add vegetables in your own. I added vegetable. Thank you so much. Subscribe, like my Facebook page, and share.